welcome to my face. Um, Today we are going to take some more notes on different types of transport across the cell membrane. Yesterday, let me make my face smaller. There we go. So yesterday we talked about some different ways that tiny molecules, and maybe a little bit larger molecules, but ones that are polar, which means that they don't chill in this nonpolar fatty chunk right here. We talked about some ways that they can move across the membrane. Excuse me. So our first way, go back, was simple diffusion, which is where molecules are just moving from high concentration to low concentration through that cell membrane. And it doesn't require energy, and it just happens on its own. And it is for small molecules that are also non-polar. So tiny things that are okay hanging out with this fatty inner layer right here. So that's all fine and good, but we do have to move things that are polar through that membrane as well, or maybe things that are just a little bit too big to diffuse on their own. So we are going to do facilitated diffusion, which is where molecules are doing diffusion again. They're just going from high to low, but it is through a protein tube. Okay. Now this is still diffusion, so we're still going from high concentration to low concentration. So that means that it doesn't require any energy to do it. And we still have to be a small molecule. Okay, we still have to be small enough to fit through the tube. But there are some of the tubes that are a little bit larger that can, facilitate some larger molecules coming through. But overwhelmingly, these molecules that are doing facilitated diffusion are polar. Okay, that means that they don't want to interact with this non-polar fatty piece of the membrane right here. Okay, so that's all fine and great. But what happens if we have a situation like this, okay, where I've got a high concentration of a molecule on this side of the membrane and a low concentration of a molecule on this side of the membrane? Now, diffusion would say that these guys are going to move from high concentrations to low concentrations. And because these guys are too big to just go through the membrane itself, they're going to be using this protein tube. So they're going to be doing facilitated diffusion until they reach equilibrium, or until they balance out on either side of the membrane. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over here and 2 over there. So they will move through this until there's about 4 on either side. They will reach equilibrium, and so they will even out and everything is fine. However, what if we don't want that to happen? Okay, so what if, for example, these red molecules are adrenaline, and this side of the membrane that is kind of colored a little bit is your blood. Now, if you're just sitting on your couch, living your life, nothing's going on, you don't need adrenaline in your blood. You don't need to have these adrenaline molecules be at equilibrium in and out of the cell. Because what that means is that you're going to have a ton of these adrenaline molecules out here, and you're going to be experiencing what those adrenaline molecules do, which is make your heart speed up, make your digestion feel funny, make your skin all tingly, make your eyes feel weird. And a lot of the times you don't need those things to be happening. So we need a way to basically do the opposite of diffusion. We need a way to say, hey, I know that you guys want to move this way, but we can't let you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're actually just going to take these molecules that are on the bottom and we're going to push them against the way that they want to go. So we're going to take those molecules that were down here and we're going to force them against the concentration gradient. So we're going to move from the low concentration side into the high concentration side. And the problem here is as soon as you move back and let them go back to whatever they want to do, they're going to diffuse back through naturally. So what we have to do to combat that is we have to close off that tube. Okay? So that is called active transport. And you can see it happening here where we're pushing molecules through and then we're closing it off behind them. So active transport is the opposite of diffusion. Okay? So we move from a low concentration to a high concentration. We're pushing things against their concentration gradient. We're pushing them into a place that they don't necessarily want to be. this does require energy because we're making them do this. Okay, they're not going to do this on their own. If you just open this tube up, they're going to diffuse from high to low like diffusion would. So what this does is it stores molecules. Okay, so the example of adrenaline is a great example. Like if we have adrenaline in our blood and we need to get it out of our blood, we are going to have to force it against that concentration gradient. So this is used to store molecules. You have little cells like in basically where these two lines would cross, like back in your brain, that hold the adrenaline. And we don't want that adrenaline just anywhere. We want it to stay in. It's basically like if your mom's ever told you to clean your room and you just take everything and just shove it in your closet and then close the door real quick. That's basically what we're doing here, is we're taking all that stuff, all those molecules, and we're shoving them into the closet and closing the door. Okay, because we want them to stay in there. We don't need them out here right now. Okay, so that is active transport. I hope you can't hear my dog just like freaking out across the house. You have an assignment today about active transport, and we will come back tomorrow to talk about osmosis. So, bye guys.